The sky, motorbike and cars. These kids play traffic. It's enough to. Hey, okay, I love to start with music, and I know that that's probably going to extend the length of this video, but that was only like 17 seconds. Hey, I have to make like a real video this time because I'm kind of concerned about the amount of work I'm asking you to do this week. So just know that I have spent a lot of time on this week's module. After reading all of the things that you wrote last week, I was super inspired and ready to move forward, and then I just got myself into a little bit of a tailspin about how to organize everything. But I finally did it, and here it is. And I want to present it to you because I want you to know that even though you can see if I scroll down, and I haven't arranged these quite, let me move that. 2.8 assignments. Last week you had 1.6 assignments, right? So you had 6 assignments last week, you have 8 assignments this week. However, don't let that scare you. Okay. Going from the very beginning, we are doing an introduction to our whole group. I like to do this in the second week in summer school because there's a lot of like back and forth in the first week with students adding and students dropping. And I think everybody that's here now is going to be here for the rest of the semester. It's only 5 more weeks. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. We're going to be great. Okay, so introductions. Don't trip too much if you have problems uploading images. You can use something from the internet if your own photos won't upload. They're better if they're uploaded to the discussion and not as an attachment, but whatever works, whatever you can get to do on that is great. That shouldn't take very long, and it should be a little bit of fun, I'm hoping. Okay, and then the second discussion is calling back to last week's assignment. So you have to go back to last week's assignment 1.4, and it's asking you to paste in 2 of your metaphors with your analysis. So this should include the text from To Subsist, right? The passage that you were looking at and your analysis of it. So in your writing, you analyzed 4 metaphors, so you get to choose 2 and put them in this discussion. So you get 5 points just for copy pasting, honestly. Although I am asking you to start with your preferred name and one thing you like to do for fun. Super lame that I put I love to read good books, but also it's true. So that's just what I'm leaving it with. So put something like that and then paste your thing in. That's 5 points. Done. Then on Tuesday, you'll come back and respond by greeting the person by name. You only have to respond to one person, and this is in your small group. This is not the whole class. Respond to both of their metaphors by completing the sentence. You can copy paste the sentence and fill in the blanks if you want to, or you can come up with your own version of it. You don't have to use the sentence stem. So that's just looking back at something you did last week. I'm not sure why this is squished, but we're going to go with it. So the next thing we're doing is we're moving on to, it's really bothering me that it's squished. I'm going to let it go. I'm letting it go. Let it go. We're looking at literary criticism. Bam, week 2, literary criticism. So what you did last week is you responded to a poem, and you did that using literary analysis techniques by looking at like the different devices, right? We looked at metaphor. I had you look at meaning, purpose, mood, how is meaning conveyed, that kind of thing, interpretation. This time we're doing that. I want you to keep those things in mind. We're doing that same kind of thinking, but you're looking through the lens of feminism. And so what if I've never done that before? Well, first of all, I'm giving you links to places to find poems and songs with feminist themes. Now, you can choose your own. If you know of something or think of something that works for this assignment, choose your own. I'm totally fine with that. It could be a poem or it can be a song. If you do a song, you have to make sure that you pull up the lyrics, and when you credit the author, make sure you credit the person who wrote the song, not the person who's singing the song, because those might not be the same thing. And then copy the text, so it would be the lyrics or the lines of the poem, onto a digital doc or onto a piece of paper that you print out. So you can see in the picture, I printed this out and I used a pen to annotate, and that's fine. If you don't want to do that, I put links in for how to leave comments on your own Google Docs, Word Docs, and Adobe Docs. So if you want to do digital comments, you can do that too with the comments feature in any of those applications. You're going to keep these annotations for the remaining assignments in this week. So these are kind of important. I want you to dig in as much as you can into imagery and symbolism, metaphors, similes, tone and diction, form and structure. We talked about most of these things last week. Not all of them. We didn't really talk about similes, but they're the same as metaphors. It's all analogies. We talked a little bit about imagery and symbolism, not too much. But again, you're looking for these things not just for what they represent or what they are presenting or how they're deepening meaning, but how they are also deepening meaning through that feminist lens. Now, you may have never heard of feminist critique before, but I did include some information down here to help you with that. You can do a little more internet searching if you want to figure out what is feminine criticism when it comes to literary critiquing. That's fine. But basically, this is what feminist criticism examines: representations of women in literature, roles and stereotypes, power dynamics between genders, the author's perspective and how it reflects patriarchal ideologies, historical and social context affecting gender roles. So if you pull up a poem that was written in the 1800s and you're looking at it through a feminist lens, you could probably guess how different that would be than looking at something from Cardi B that was written a year ago. This Quizlet is just kind of fun, but it gives you a little bit of vocabulary around feminist criticism. So if you wanted to, you could click on that and play with those flashcards. Just make sure you're looking at feminist criticism and not something else. So then you are marking up these poems or songs or both based on these things, right? These representations. Let me go back. Imagery, symbolism, metaphor, simile, all of that. So, okay, this is what I just wanted to clarify. You could do a poem and a song, or two poems or two songs. It has to be two things. You can choose. Again, if you have two songs that you want to analyze, great. If you have two poems you already want to analyze, great. If you need resources, click on these links. Okay, this video is already at 7 minutes and 45 seconds, and we are on assignment number 2. It's fine. This is just a bigger picture, image. I can't get to the button to go to the next. Hold, please. Okay, so here's a guide to using feminist criticism to analyze poetry. I did not publish this, but I'm going to... Yeah, but just make sure, like, we're really only looking at these 2 steps this week. So feel free to read through this and get an idea of how things blend together. Blend is going to be an important word later on, but we'll get there. Okay, and then you are answering questions about that same poem or song that you looked at before. You're going to choose one of them to answer these questions about. Try to choose the one that you like the most because you're going to use it again later this week. Okay, that's where all of my decision making had to happen, because I was going to try and have you write about both and it just seemed like too much. So we're going to answer these questions, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Where's part 3? Right there. Okay, it looks like I bolded part 2 and 3 and not part 1. I'll fix that. So section it off in your paper, part 1. You can even copy paste all of these instructions into your paper and then respond to them. What I wanted to tell you about these things, part 1, it says to choose the questions to answer based on the reading that you're doing. Based on the poem or the song, you may not be able to answer all of these questions. Answer the ones that stand out to you, right? The ones that show up immediately to your sensibilities after you've done your annotations. Same thing with the literary analysis. You're not going to, I don't want you to do all of this, right? I would prefer you to do one really, really well, really deeply. And I don't mean well like you're going to do it good or bad. I mean like really dig in. So I included an example of my analysis of form and structure in this passage from the poem that I was analyzing, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. This is the passage, right, from the lines from the poem. And then this is my critique for part 2. So again, all I'm looking at is the form and structure in the passage, and this is my critique. So I only chose one thing, the form and structure, to analyze. I could have done a whole thing on imagery and symbolism and metaphors and tone and diction. I could have done all of that, but I'm not trying to write an essay right now. Not yet. Okay, personal reflection part 3. I would like you to just answer these questions based on the poem or the song. This one is about the poem or song itself, and that's sort of a reader response criticism. And then the second question is asking you, how was it to do this through that feminist critique lens? Okay, 10 minutes and 58 seconds. I am going to trim this video down before I send it out to you. Okay, this is just a reminder to respond to those discussions. This is another discussion. Yay. Okay, so what you just did, that assignment that was before this, you're going to paste part 2 into this assignment. So 5 points for pasting your work, right? We did that before with the to subsist from last week. It's the same thing. You're just going to paste your response here. And then when you come back to it, you're going to respond to one person. This is in your small group again. Try to choose somebody that doesn't have a response. And this is a sentence frame idea for you to offer a response to them. You don't have to use the sentence frame. You can come up with your own. And then I would like you to offer them a suggestion. So based on what they posted, is there a place they could have been more specific about what they were saying? Is there a space they could have elaborated more on their analysis? Maybe you could see how they could tie their response into another one of the questions that comes from that feminist critique list. Whatever it is that you see that could possibly improve or add more detail to their response, make that suggestion. This is going to be helpful for you when you get to the later assignments. Okay, moving on. Okay, this one, I want you to go back to a previous assignment. There's some instructions in this. It's called a graded survey, but basically when you complete it, it awards you the points. So before taking the survey, go to this link, shows you how to access my comments, and then go to this assignment. You're going to see my comments, and I want you to respond to them. Some of them are questions, and some of them are just statements. Your response might be, thanks for this advice, it was great, or cool, or yes, I agree, or whatever. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It's not a big analysis. I just want the practice of responding to my comments in an assignment. That's what this is about, because we're going to do this again with your writing from the end of last week, which I haven't gotten through yet. I've only read, I think, 4 of them. Woo, remember how I said I loved reading? I'm there. I'm getting there. I did have school this weekend, so I've been super busy. And my eyes are falling out because of all the screen time. But I'll put them back in tomorrow and be better. So next is another reminder to respond to a discussion. And then the final assignment, it's not the final because you have the Dear Professor thing, but this is a reminder. That's the reminder about the AI thing. Okay, moving down. This is basically, let me just say this. This is putting that other assignment where you answered the questions into an essay form. So you're going to take all the things that you wrote in that other assignment and you're going to paste them into a document, and then you're going to turn them into, it's not really an essay because it's not going to be that long, but it's an essay form. So you're going to have an introduction. The introduction is going to have these 3 things. You're going to have body paragraphs, and I didn't break this up because I don't know exactly how this will look when it's finished. But basically, you're going to blend the answers to the feminist critique questions with the literary devices analysis. So, an example. The symbol, which is a literary device, of the blank represents blank, which lends itself to revealing the power dynamics, which is the feminist critique, between the speaker and their audience, which shows the expectations of gender roles that are present in the text, while the speaker pushes back against them, just like a blank, whatever the symbol was in the beginning, right? So I've shown how that literary device, the symbol, represents the thing that also reveals how the author is pushing back against power dynamics, which is my feminist critique. I don't know if you're going to have to watch that. You rewind and watch that again, maybe. Listen to it again. Questions to help you blend. So if you look at the questions below, just think about, like, how do the tone and diction of this poem reveal the roles and stereotypes? How do the imagery and symbolism in this poem reveal the representations of women? Or how do they create it? Or how do they perpetuate it? How do they dismantle it? Maybe push back against it, right? So these questions to help you blend right here are meant to help you put your answers that you already put in your previous assignment together. So you're synthesizing that information, seeing how that fits together. It may mean that you need to rewrite a little bit or add a little bit to what you did before, but that was the plan. That's part of the plan, is that you're going to watch yourself do this like progressive thing into this final assignment. Oh, I'm so tired. Okay, resources. So use what you've already completed. Here are links to all the assignments that have what you need to do this this writing. And then your conclusion is going to be your personal reflection questions. You already did these, right? In the other assignment, you already answered these. But I want you to, oh, these questions are different. They're not supposed to be different. Damn. Okay, I'm going to change that. I'll change it to what it was in the previous assignment because it's supposed to line up. Okay, and there's a rubric down here that has a lot of words in it. It's basically copy-pasted from the instructions, right? So each of those things you can see is weighted differently. Your introduction is worth 5 points. The body paragraphs are worth 15, and the conclusion is worth 10. And I'm going to change the questions to match the questions from the previous assignment. Okay. Cool. Glad I could have this conversation with myself. I hope you're doing well. I'm really enjoying reading your writing. I appreciate that you appreciate the opportunity to write about your own writing, which was in the writer identity piece from last week. I don't think I called it. I think I called it writer history. But I loved reading those, and I hope that we can do more of that type of writing in the off weeks from having a bigger writing like this one this week. So next week, hopefully we'll have another one of those sort of personal essay type things. Okay, so remember, if you have questions, you can get a hold of me via Messenger. I'll be on Zoom tomorrow. Today's Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. You're probably watching this Monday. I'll be on Zoom. I forgot my hours already, but I'll be there when I said I would be there, I guess. And you can always message me, and then you can request a Zoom time that's not what I already have set up if you need me to meet you at another time, because I do have it on Monday during the day, which might be working hours for you. So let me know what you need. I'm here for you. I have a lot of reading to do, but I'm enjoying it. All right, talk soon.